Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Onlhy Football. It's just Max today. Michael is probably, hopefully for his sake, just wrapping up soccer practice so he can go watch the Leafs because he's a diehard, and I'm what you call plastic when it comes to hockey and basketball and the like. Support the Raptors, support the Leafs, but hanging out with the family and doing a show is fine by me. The Leafs go to Game 7, maybe I'll show up. Now, let's get into it. Lots to cover. We're going to open up with Coppa D'Italia, then bounce over for Arsenal Spurs review, which just wrapped up today, which finished up earlier on today. Then we'll go back to Italy for Milan and Inter previews for the race for the Scudetto, and then back to England to finish up with the FA Cup final between Liverpool and Chelsea, and then plenty of top four battles on the weekend. The relegation battle, and also West Ham City. See if West Ham can cause City any problems and give Liverpool some hope. But with Coppa D'Italia, ended up being 4-2 for Inter Milan in extra time, and they scored early. Brella with a great finish. Perrin just kind of frozen on it, threw a bit of crowd, top corner. And, Mike obviously was really down on Juve's chances in that match. He was proven correct. But I got to say, after being a little somewhat shell-shocked for the first 10, 15 or so, they banded together. They pressed really well. They weren't necessarily creating too many chances before this great Vlahovic chance where I forget who laid it off to him on the left. But frankly, at 1-0, maybe 20 minutes into the match, I forget who's coming down the right. It was either Dybala who made the pass or Dybala who, in my opinion, should have been given that pass through. But Vlahovic, from a difficult angle, pulled a remarkable save out of Handanovic. He struck it extremely well, and Handanovic just got a really strong hand on it. I have to say, like they by no stretch, dominated after going down 1-0, but they responded nicely. Created a couple chances. As I said, they pressed well. Inter were getting stuck in their own corners, like outside their box. Juve were forcing throw-ins off them, dangerous in good areas for them. And then it did pay off early in the second half. 2 goals in 2 minutes, I believe, in the 50th and 52nd. Both kind of scrappy goals. They wound up being scrappy goals. Sandro taking the shot and Morata getting a slight deflection that beats Handanovic. Then 2 minutes later, they send Vlahovic through. Handanovic makes yet another great save on the breakaway, but it falls right to Vlahovic, and he gets the monkey off his back. He's been kind of struggling for goals of late. I haven't been seeing anything about Vlahovic being a poor signing or anything like that. Juve, there's a lot of work to be done there. He's key, but I think throughout, even during the goal drought, he's demonstrated him being a threat, and they just like that, they're up 2-1. Inter did wind up being too much for them. It wasn't overwhelming chance after chance. Juve just cling on for dear life by any stretch. I wouldn't say Juve would have been hard done by Inter would have been hard done by had they not gotten the penalty, which was somewhat of a soft penalty, but still clumsy from, I believe, De Ligt, and which wound up being on 2 occasions, but I believe it was De Ligt for Martinez on Martinez, and Çalhanoğlu putting it off the inside of the post, top corner. It was a ballsy penalty, to say the least, and they tied it up with about 15 or 10 minutes to go. And I have to say, Inter, it's not, getting to extra time near the end of regular time. They sub off Çalhanoğlu and Martinez. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, they're obviously looking towards the weekend, despite being in the Coppa Italia final. But that's obviously playing on their minds. I'm like, when I'm watching it, maybe I think Juve can actually, pull something off, but it did not take long for De Ligt to cause yet another foul in the box. And Perisic this time finishing it from the penalty spot. And then Perisic near the end of the first half of extra time, making 4-2 with a sublime strike. I wasn't personally too crazy back when Mourinho was United manager about getting Perisic. And this was still I think he was maybe 28 or so at the time. And I was like, yeah, he's kind of getting on. Is he going to be able to adapt? Is this going to be just another United sign that just doesn't really quite hit the heights? It's it's a player with a name. And I have to say, it's a weird one. It's a weird one because he did actually kind of fade away on the Inter team for a while. He even got sent out on loan to Bayern Munich, but was quintessential in that team winning the Champions League. He was part of that squad. And since he's come back, he still has been instrumental for Inter Milan. So kudos to them. They, as Mike would say, they are on the double right now. They've got the Supercoppa, they have the Coppa Italia, and they are just looking to win their last 2 matches of the Serie A, and hope that Milan drop 3 points. So to that, let's go stick with Milan, Inter, that is, despite the fact that they will be playing after AC this weekend. I believe both games are on Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just double check. I am kind of hoping that I am wrong, because Milan is on at noon, and I know that for a fact, and the FA Cup finals on 11:30. So yes, okay. So these are Sunday. These are Sunday matches for both Milan and Inter. But Inter first. Let's stick with them on the road to Cagliari. So full matches. You can't even say squad rotation. Inzaghi saved legs a little bit against Juve. Let's just quickly take a look here at some of the substitutions. Dzeko did come off in the 63rd. Dumfries 64th. It's this despite they they pulled it out too. They pulled out the Coppa Italia win, and they did a decent job of conserving the legs. Calhanoglu 90th and Martinez 90th right before extra time. So that's an extra match midweek for 2 key players, and the majority of one for the rest of the squad. Even Perisic playing all 120 minutes. Cagliari, crucial draw last week. Crucial draw in the 96th minute against Salernitana. Still getting that down. To keep their hopes alive, and they find themselves 1 point behind. They're at home for this. Cagliari if they nick a goal, they might have a chance. Inter aren't necessarily lately, as of late, they've been conceding a little bit. But the defensive record is exceptional, and Cagliari just do not score. So, despite I think the class will overwhelm here. I have often of late been taking teams that are fighting for relegation to pull out a result here and there. I don't see it this time. Because at the same time, you have the desperation of the relegation squad in Cagliari, but then you have the desperation of the top quality and title contending squad, triple domestically contending squad in Inter, and I'm going to go 2-0 here. They might get a bit of a scare. It could be like one of those matches where they don't get it to the 60th or something. It's is Cagliari actually going to hold on here? But I think it's going to be too much. I mean, you look at what Inter did last week against Empoli. Yes, they were chasing that game from the get-go, but they put up 37 shots, which was a top 5 league high of the season. And I think they just overrun and dominate Cagliari. So now to the not to say that this isn't Inter, Cagliari isn't, but Milan hosting Atalanta. This is huge. This is huge for Milan. Milan's at home. Their home record's been it's been good. They've just been really just kind of squeaking out lately, but they are showing the ice in the veins. That's been called for by Pioli, and digging deep, getting some late winners last week against Hellas Verona. They were very convincing, despite going down 1-0. That was more or less Hellas's one chance in that match, and AC were giving it to them from the get-go. So I think they can actually take a positive from this, because they definitely had been struggling, getting results, but struggling of late, just to actually create chance after chance and get those goals. So I think they can. But sorry, I'm just kind of lose my train of thought here. But they defensively they've been very sound. As a unit, they've been very sound. And despite having to eke out some results late in matches, they have been they have been tight. And now the goals may have shown up. Atalanta has been very flaky this season. That said, their road record has been quite respectable. The last 2 wins, both 3-1 wins, Spezia and Venezia, nothing to write home about too much, but that's where they're getting their wins, and even before that as well. And then you look at in between those 2 matches, at home to Torino and Salernitana, fuck it. Salernitana. There it is. They had to come back. They tied Salernitana late in about the 88th. Torino, they're down 4-2. They had to come back and make it 4-4, and they didn't get that till about the 80th minute as well. So the road record is definitely a bonus for them right now. I am still going to go with AC here because they have everything to play for. And, I don't like the pressure is there, but they're dealing with it very well, very, very well. And it's been going on for a couple of months now. Like since January, their record has been phenomenal. One of the best teams in Europe, and they've justifiably gotten that top spot in the Serie A. So yeah, I'm gonna go 2-0 AC. I know Atalanta love to score. I just realized I got why is little monkey begging back. I know they love to score. But yeah, Milan have just been so tight. So I'm going to stick there. I'm going to stick with that, and they carry the lead into the last match of the season, where they would then, if that is the case, just have to pick up a point. A point against Atalanta is also not terrible. They have the tiebreak against Inter. And, then you have to win your last match against Sassuolo. Sassuolo, the thing is there, I don't want to go too far ahead here, but Sassuolo has given them trouble in the past. Berardi loves to play Milan too. They got a couple tricky ones. They've had a tough stretch, and they've gone this far. They made it this far in terms of getting those wins. So I back them to continue. I think there's something with this Milan team, and Pioli, whether they blow it or not, he has proven me wrong. He has been a very good sign for them. Okay, on to the FA Cup final, and a couple of big injuries in the midfield for both teams respectively. Fabinho, most notably, definitely out for the FA Cup final, and rumors that he might not be able to make it for the Champions League final at the end of the month. That is a huge loss. It's a massive, massive miss. And Liverpool are already looking to bolster their midfield with some youthful talent. Tchouaméni, they seem to be leading the race for Tchouaméni, which would kill me. It would just crush me. A few years ago, United were linked to Fabinho for I'd say 2 summers, and then out of nowhere, Liverpool out of nowhere. I picked up my phone and Liverpool signed him, and I screamed no at the top of my lungs. No one around us in my room. I wanted him so badly, and I've been wanting Tchouaméni since last summer. I'd wanted Camavinga for United. That is, Camavinga went to Real, but even at the time before Camavinga went, I was like, I could definitely deal with Tchouaméni for sure. And then I've been kind of on him to be like that youthful midfield, CDM, definite pivot player that we sorely need. But back to this preview, that's just it, is that Liverpool are looking to bolster that because, it is a good midfield, but it is getting on. And Fabinho is key. So, that 4-3-3, does Klopp have to shake it up without Fabinho? Does he have to maybe switch to a 4-2-3-1? Which maybe even already too attacking. Thiago, Henderson, Jones, is that your 3? I would go for Jones over the likes of Milner personally. I still would. It's a tricky one, and it just really makes things difficult for Klopp here. They do need another CDM. If let's say you had Chumini there, and he could be playing that 4-3 while Fabinho's playing box to box with Thiago per se. But when you lose Fabinho or Fabinho needs a rest, then you could actually have him coming in, and it wouldn't be that glaring of a miss, so long as Chumini stays on course for what people think he's going to become. It's and then you have Henderson and Thiago. Now, I guess you put Henderson. You put Henderson in the middle, but it's gonna take away from Thiago's freedom a little bit. That's the thing with Thiago. He is great both ways. He's an excellent box to box. So it just puts a little more defensive responsibility on him. I would still say you still have to, if you're Klopp, you still go for the 4-3-3. Because even Jones, everyone in that team, they work as a unit, they know their role, but they are more defensive minded. If you switch to a 4-2-3-1 and you do Henderson and Thiago, and then you have what are you gonna do? Mane, Jota, Salah, and Diaz. Like it's just too much. It's too much, and you leave yourself a little exposed here. As for Chelsea, I'm seeing. Okay, let me look. Kovacic is done for the year. Terrible tackle from Dan James. I mean, I don't know. We'll get to Leeds in a second. And Conte doubtful. Let me look into this too, because I just actually need to pull this up stat and see, because that's huge. If they're missing both Conte and Kovacic, Chelsea. Let's see here quickly. Give me that roundup. I mean, Loftus-Cheek has been decent of late, but I don't think that's the man you want there in the final. You maybe want to bring him on for fresh legs if the game's tight, or if you got to turn something on, if you got to shake something up. Sure, but is he and Jorginho the pairing that you want front to back? For me, no. You're desperately wanting Jorginho with Kovacic out, Jorginho and who's kind of fallen out of favor, and Conte. I think the big thing is Conte. Maybe Tuchel would be fine with starting Loftus-Cheek, but Conte there, yeah, because Loftus-Cheek has been in decent form, and Jorginho's faded a little bit. It seems as though perhaps those Italy, like what happened with Italy, might still be weighing on him. He hasn't featured all too much since that happened. Let's take a quick look here. Kovacic, yes. Okay, we know he's out. What's all this? Just ads now. Come on. Well, that's no good. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. There's also I'm also seeing some bylines of him also kind of falling out of favor. But he was in contention, it would appear, to have played yesterday against Leeds. So that's a good sign. He was on the bench, but that's a good sign. Sorry about that little delay there. It was a good minute of me just kind of fiddling around. But in that case, I'd expect to see him on Saturday. Is he going to be ready though? Is he going to be ready for? Is he going to be ready to start? Could be Loftus-Cheek and Jorginho, and those are two huge misses in the midfield. I think that's who seizes their opportunity. For me, I mean, the Liverpool midfield without Fabinho are guys who have been getting in there anyway, more regularly than the likes of Loftus-Cheek. Thing is, Chelsea played them. They played them well. Liverpool, that is, they have a good record, despite Liverpool being the better team over the last few seasons. Even this season, they caused them a lot of problems. They answered really nicely at going down 2-0 at home to come all the way back before the end of the first half. Now, is it a little hard thing? Excuse me. Is it a little hard thing? It very well could be. Where I am going to go with Chelsea here, and I think we're getting extra time again. I do. Fighting tooth and nail. They've been going at each other for quite nicely this season, and I'm going to say that they eke it. I'm going to say they eke it though, and they're going to get it in extra time. I almost wanted to say that it was going to go to penalties, and they would keep Mendy in and win it. Wouldn't that be something? But I think they'll get it done beforehand. Van Dijk, I think, to me, has shown his frailties the most this season that I've noticed anyway, in the Chelsea matchups. So hopefully we get like a kind of like for like replay of that EFL Cup, because that was a great match. Say what you will about the EFL Cup, but that was an excellent final. But I'm gonna eke it to Chelsea, and I'm gonna go 2-1 in extra time. Everyone else is back. The defensive line's healthy. I like it. Reece James is flying. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do, and then we're gonna go on to our PL preview. Oh my goodness, PL preview! But I skipped Arsenal and Spurs. My word. I got so focused on Italy, and then I just jumped. I jumped to the FA Cup final. So before we go to the preview, let's just quickly review that. And you know what? Arsenal got off to a decent start. They weren't creating chances, like great chances, but they definitely had the edge slightly for the first 10 minutes. And then Spurs slowly came back slowly got into the match. They weren't really doing all too much before, I think, what a lot of people would consider a controversial penalty call on Son. It was a great ball in, and when I saw it live, I'm like, how didn't Son really get more of a leap on that and get contact? And Cedric Suarez does come in and hit him a little bit. I personally think it's pretty soft, but it's enough. And the fact that I believe it was Tierney who was Paul Tierney who was reffing, calls it. Once it's called, that's not getting reversed. I can see why he calls it. I'm not condemning him for it. I just disagree with it. I just think it's a little soft. But Suarez should not be putting Tierney in that position whatsoever. And there's no way in hell that's getting flipped. And then Kane dispatches the penalty. No problem. Sends Ramsdale the wrong way. And it's 1-0. Now, side story, which ended up being more or less the whole story after this, was the fact that Rob Holding was going after Son all match. Son does, I believe this was before the 1-0, does in fact elbow him somewhat lately. Again, I don't call that a red either, but I've seen it given. And Son could have been given a red there earlier on. Holding for the second time grapples Son, takes him to the ground. He gets a yellow. Then I'm at the bar and I see it's 1-0, and I see Eric Dyer just hoof the ball down the field innocuously. I'm like, so I turn around. Our buddy Mike, Bottle Mike, Spurs fan, is there. Turn around, and I'm just gonna slate Eric Dyer for a bit because I love to, because it's pointless. Save a few low hanging fruit jabs at Dyer's expense. Turn around, and there's a red card being produced. I'm like, what the hell just happened? What just happened here? And sure enough, Rob Holding on this ball over the top to Ramsdale. I'd say to no one, but it was to Ramsdale from Dyer, from one in the field to the other. Son's just making the run. He's basically going through the motions because the pass is that bad. And yes, I'm not gonna let that pass off the hook. But Eric Dyer knew. He knew it was all a ploy. That I am wrong. I am absolutely wrong. Eric Dyer he has the foresight. He can see into the future. He knew Rob Holding was unhinged, and Rob Holding smacks him in the face. Second yellow card. You're on a yellow, and you're down a goal. You're on the road. It's a huge match, and you do that. Shocking. Arsenal fans from the Onlhy FC losing their minds. 3 minutes in the game, applauding Rob Holding shithousery, and then that. So yeah, and then from there on out, it was smooth sailing for Arsenal. For Spurs. definitely not for Arsenal. Kane another goal, and then Son bags one relatively early in the second half, and that was it. I mean, Arsenal created a couple chances. I will say this is the worst I've seen Arsenal play down to 10 men this season. They've been actually remarkable with 10 men. But you know what? It's North London derby, and they're probably a little dispirited, a little just kind of scrambled, and they were also already losing in this case, so that doesn't help either. They did create a couple chances. I'll give you that, but it was just too much. It was too much to make up, and yeah, Conte got it done, easy peasy, lemon squeezy, and 3-0, 1 point behind Arsenal. So now off the back of that, which I guess faded okay, but it was such a big match. It should have been closer to the beginning of the show. Apologies. Let's stick with Spurs, and they're hosting Burnley this week. Burnley, who is their manager again? The one who took over for Sean Dyche. I would just like to shout him out because I really, was not a fan of them firing him. But they brought in this Mike Jackson character, and he won PL Manager of the Month for April. Kudos, man. Well done. I believe it was 2 wins and a draw. You're fighting relegation, getting the job done. Good man. But Spurs at home to Burnley. Again, Burnley drew them the reverse fixture. No, Burnley won. Sorry, they claimed it late. I was thinking Spurs were up 1-0, but Burnley won 1-0. I want Everton. I want Everton down, but I don't want Leeds down. I do think Spurs have been phenomenal at home. They have plenty of momentum. That's the thing. You never want to say Spurs have plenty of momentum because they are so topsy-turvy, so flip-flop. You just never know what you're going to get. And, they have struggled against Burnley in the past, actually, a little bit. Not terribly, actually, but some results in there. It's about 50-50 for Spurs wins and then other results. I just think that, they want to keep that pressure on. They're starting. This is the opening match of the weekend as well. This is 7 a.m. EST. So that's a noontime kickoff in England, and just putting it to Arsenal to think it over until the next day because Arsenal don't play Newcastle until Monday. But I am gonna say that Burnley give them a tough go. You definitely don't want to, and I think it's gonna be a little cagey. If there's no goal in the first 20 minutes. Which I would say is most likely by Spurs, then I think it's going to be quite cagey because you don't want to fall behind against Burnley. And knowing that you have to win as well. It's not like a point is going to do you any favors. It's absolutely not. So you don't want to be playing catch-up for 2 goals against Burnley by any stretch. I'm going cagey. I'm going to go 1-0 Spurs. Now let's stick on with the Sunday matches and the relegation battle. Leeds, Brighton. My goodness, Leeds. I don't even know what to say. 2 terrible red cards in a row. That Luke Ayling one I still can't get over against Arsenal on Martinelli. Not only does he just, for no reason, just cut him in half while he's trapped in the corner, but he gets nutmegged as well. And then Dan James, horrible challenge, stupid challenge on Kovacic. And yeah, this is a team, Leeds, that have been struggling with injuries all season. The team is threadbare. And then you got guys doing shit like this. Who do you like? Mentally, they're just not there. They're at home. Liam Cooper's back, which is nice. He was his first match in a while against Chelsea. I gotta sneeze, but it's not coming. Brighton have been in good form. Bless me. Brighton have been in good form off that shellacking of United. It's United, though. Desperate Leeds at home. Brighton slightly cocky? Maybe not. It doesn't really seem like Graham Potter's style to be cocky necessarily, but I think I think there is going to be an element of it where Brighton just go out and play their game, try to play the game where Leeds can still be dangerous. On the counter. You got Calvin Phillips back. Is Patrick Bamford going to be back? Quite possibly. And I think he will be regardless. I think he'll come off the bench though. He's questionable. I think he'll push himself. I just don't think he's going to have it in to start. But could be crucial. coming off the bench there. And I'm going to say they edge it. I honestly think there's just been so much drama, Serie A and PL, especially both seasons. Both leagues, I would say, in terms of top to bottom drama for qualification and league titles has easily been the best. And I'm glad that we've been actually focusing on those. I'm glad Mike's that Juve fan that really got us going on that. And I think it's going to continue with this with this relegation battle this weekend. Leeds is going to get some hope. Burnley's going to drop points. I'm going to get to Everton in a second. I'm going to go for a 2-1 Leeds scoreline here. And let's stick with that relegation battle. Everton-Brentford. Mike was right with Everton. And I was hoping he was because I want them down. But they couldn't get it done against Watford. I watched a good chunk of that game. What was I flipping between that day? There was another match on that I can't quite recall. Actually, it would have been the Coppa D'Italia final. It was the Coppa D'Italia final. So I was seeing snippets of it, but mostly the Coppa D'Italia final. But they were creating absolutely nothing. He could not break down Roy Hodgson. But that Watford defense is terrible. That's just it. To me, it's a managerial thing. Everton is clearly the more talented team than Watford, and on paper you'd still edge them to Brentford. But Brentford have something special going on this season, and hopefully they don't burn out like Sheffield did a couple seasons ago, or last season I should say. And they've been in great form, apart from a blip against lowly Manchester United last week, where they got utterly smashed by United. Other than that, they've been on fire. I believe it was 10 of 12 going into United, and then tack on another 6 points. They beat Southampton. They have taken 13 out of 18 points, if I'm not mistaken, in the last 6. I don't think, and so quickly, where I'm going to kind of contrast here between, Brighton, I think I'm giving a little more credit to Jesse Marsch here in terms of, Brighton go and play the game, Brentford go and play the game. I don't think Lampard and Everton are going to be able to handle this. And you can say that Brentford have nothing to play for. They're safe now. I think they want to end this season as best as they can, as anyone should, but the desire is going to be there. And I think it's going to get kind of ugly, man. I'm going to go 3-0 again for Brentford. I think they take it to them. Obviously the onus, the desperation is still on Everton. Everton would actually, just to be smart about it, especially because this is where the advantage lies with Everton, is what happens with Leeds and Burnley beforehand. Both those two teams play before them. Now, if I'm looking at it from Everton's perspective, and Leeds win, putting them up above Everton, but Everton still have a game in hand. Well, they'll have 2 games in hand on Leeds, including Brentford. So and Burnley lose, and they'd be level on games. They'd have the game in hand from that day. I'd actually be happy with a draw. I'd be like, you know what? Let's go. Let's be safe here. Like, let's definitely try to win this game, but a point is crucial. I would be looking at trying to get a draw if things aren't going your way in this match. Like, don't just go out there guns a-blazing against Brentford. You will get pegged. I think they might do that, and I think Brentford are going to get them. I'm going to go to Newcastle Arsenal really quickly before going back to West Ham City. So that's the Monday nighter for Newcastle and Arsenal. Arsenal's road form has not been great. Again, Newcastle, another team who, they were very proud. Their owners coming out, kind of patting each other on the back this week about their nice little comeback. And the road form has picked up recently for Arsenal. It has some nice wins actually against West Ham and Chelsea, but it hasn't been great this season. Their bread and butter has been mostly at home, and then they just get smashed by Spurs. Mitigating circumstances, sure, but Newcastle have been a little sticky. But I think Arsenal get it done. I think we're gonna have a really big match between Everton and Arsenal in the last week. Ben White would be back for this match. Thomas Partey, huge loss. But keep it. Play El Neni again. Play Xhaka again. Keep it compact. I'm gonna go 1-0 Arsenal. Tight. Some chances from Newcastle but I'm gonna say they escape by the skin of their teeth. And then to wrap it up, guys, it is the final, not the final, but West Ham City. Likely the final chance for someone to give City some issues. I mean, ever since they've just been smoking 10 goals in 2 matches, 1 conceded since they choked against Real. 4 goals by Kevin De Bruyne. Shocking. I had him captained and I'm not going to get into it, but Rom, I think you know why, but I'm not happy. Also, Rom, make like 10 extra accounts and just hit the like button. Give us 10 likes. It's all on you, buddy. Yeah, they're just rolling right now, and they're pissed off. Moyes has had some success this season against the big clubs, but in really weird, kind of freakish, just completely just freakish. They beat them on penalties in the EFL Cup, but if you recall, Chelsea, Liverpool, they've just been kind of weird. I don't like Moyes against the big clubs. He doesn't expand. He doesn't do anything that's gonna, shake these teams up. Sometimes shit falls your way. But he loves the low block. And City love to go to West Ham. They love to, and they love to pump them there too sometimes. I'm gonna say they do it again. I'm gonna go 4-0. And yeah, West Ham, they've had a good season. They had a good run in the Europa League, and even with this loss, they potentially could still pass United for the last Europa League spot for next year. But I think City they have nothing else to play for, and Guardiola does not. He has never really screwed around in the PL ever since he got that rolling. It's the Champions League. That's his bogey. So you saw they blew the Champions League, and they've bounced right back. I don't see it from West Ham. So yeah, just me tonight. I did not get a scout in, unfortunately. Things get crazy. Yeah, I will be talking to Mike, who's probably sweating out the end of the Leafs game right now, and we'll be back Monday or Tuesday. Take care, guys.